You know, retirement has a way of sneaking up on you. One day you're busy, working long hours, raising a family, fixing broken things around the house, worrying about the future. Then suddenly, everything goes quiet. People talk about retirement as if it's a long vacation, as if the world just becomes peaceful the moment you stop working. But no one really talks about the stillness, the long mornings, the slow afternoons, the nights that stretch out a little too far. They don't tell you how loud silence can sound. When your home used to be full of voices. My name is Michael Turner. I'm 71 years old, and for the first time in a long time, I'm going to tell a story that changed me. A story that began on a quiet Tuesday morning when the world felt small, predictable, and a little too empty. I didn't know it yet, but that morning, something was waiting for me. Something small, something fragile, something that had traveled across time to find the wrong man, or maybe the right one. A letter, a letter I was never meant to read. It showed up in my mailbox without any warning. No bills, no catalogs, no appointment reminders, just one envelope. Thin, yellowed with age, edges frayed like the corners of an old photograph. It didn't look like something mailed last week. It looked like something pulled from a forgotten drawer in a house that no longer stood. I turned it over. No return address. No indication of where it came from. But there, across the front in soft, shaky handwriting, was my name. To Michael Turner. No street number. No city. Just the name, as if the writer assumed there could only ever be one. For a moment, I considered placing it right back into the mailbox. Let the post office deal with it. Not my problem. But when you live alone long enough, curiosity starts to feel like company. So I carried the letter inside, set it on my kitchen table, and made myself a cup of coffee I knew I wouldn't finish. I stared at the envelope for a long time, long enough to hear the refrigerator hum behind me, long enough to feel the weight of the quiet house pressing in. Then I slowly opened it. The paper inside was delicate, like it might crumble if handled too roughly. I unfolded it gently and saw the first line, Dear Michael. The handwriting. I recognized it immediately, not because I had seen it before, but because it belonged to a generation that wrote letters with purpose, letters filled with meaning, not text message abbreviations, letters that carried emotion instead of emojis. This was a mother's handwriting. I could feel it instantly, the curves, the slight tremble in the strokes, the faint pressure of someone who pressed just a little too hard to keep her hand steady. I read further. If you are reading this, then I may have run out of time to say things in person, things I should have said when you were still near enough to hear them. My breath caught a little. This letter, it wasn't for me, but I kept reading. Her words flowed with a tenderness that only someone looking back on years of regret could write. She talked about her son, how he used to laugh at the television, how he used to leave socks on the living room floor, how he begged for pizza on school nights. These ordinary memories, the kind you don't realize are precious until they're all you have left. She wrote about him leaving home, growing distant, growing busy, growing into someone she loved but no longer understood. I know I was not always the mother you deserved, she wrote, but I never stopped loving you. Even in the moments when I didn't know how to say it, my chest tightened because her words, though meant for someone else, felt painfully familiar. I sat back in my chair and let the letter rest in my lap. My son Eric had grown distant too, not in a cruel way, just life. Life pulls people in different directions: work, kids, schedules, and sometimes love doesn't vanish. It just gets quiet. After my wife Linda passed away, the loneliness grew slowly, not all at once, not like a sudden storm, more like a fog, something that creeps in silently until you realize you haven't really spoken to anyone in days or weeks. I had become good at pretending I was fine, good at telling Eric, I'm doing all right, even when I wasn't. I didn't want to be a burden, didn't want to interrupt his life, didn't want him to feel obligated, so I stayed silent. Reading that mother's letter, I realized silence can be its own kind of distance, a wall built out of things unsaid. Her regrets felt like my future if I didn't do something. I returned to the letter and read the final lines. Michael, it's never too late to go back. Not to the past, but to the people you love. I read that sentence twice, then a third time. Each time, it sank deeper. Never too late, even at 71. Even after years of short, polite phone calls, even after birthdays missed, holidays spent alone, and countless moments left unspoken. Could love still make its way back? I didn't know. But something, maybe hope, maybe fear, made me want to find out. It took me 3 days to work up the courage to call Eric. 3 days of rehearsing lines aloud in my empty living room. 3 days of pacing from the window to the hallway to the porch and back. What do you even say when you've been silent too long? Hi, son. How are you? Just checking in. I miss you. Every version felt awkward, clumsy, too vulnerable. But eventually, I dialed his number. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. I almost hung up. But then, Dad? His voice hit me harder than I expected. Familiar, but older, more worn. I swallowed hard. Hey, Eric. I just wanted to hear your voice. There was a pause, a soft one, the kind that tells you someone is processing emotion. Then he said, Dad, I'm really glad you called. For the first time in a long time, I felt something loosen in my chest. We talked about small things, about nothing really, but it felt like everything. When the call ended, my house felt just a little less empty, but something inside me still felt unsettled. Who was the woman who wrote the letter? Who was the other Michael? Did he ever know how much his mother loved him? I felt an odd responsibility, not because I knew them, but because her words had shaken me awake. So I began searching old public records, library archives, digitized newspapers from the 1970s and 80s. I spent afternoons in the town library listening to the faint clicking of microfilm machines and the distant chatter of students working on assignments. Eventually, I found her, Margaret Hayes. She lived in my town 40 years ago. She had a son named Michael. He left home at 19 and never returned. Margaret passed away 20 years ago. Her son disappeared from all records. No forwarding address, no obituary, no family listed. It was as if he simply slipped out of the world. And her letter, her final words, never found him. Something inside me broke a little at that. I found her grave behind a small stone church on a quiet hill, the kind of place where time moves a little slower. I brought fresh flowers, lilies, the same kind my wife used to love. I placed them by Margaret's headstone and read her name aloud, Margaret Hayes. I took the letter from my coat pocket and held it gently. "I'm sorry your son never received your words," I whispered, "but they reached me, and because of them, I reached my son." A soft breeze moved through the trees, almost like an answer. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. 2 weeks later, Eric visited. He pulled into the driveway with his kids, his wife, and a trunk full of groceries I never asked for. When he stepped out of the car, he hugged me. Not the quick hello hug we used to share. A long hug, one that said, "I missed you more than I knew how to say." His kids ran through the house, laughing, filling every empty corner with life again. His wife cooked dinner in my kitchen, like she'd done it 100 times. For the first time in a long time, the house felt warm, alive, like a place where a family belonged. Later that night, after everyone was asleep, I sat in my old armchair and unfolded the letter. "One more time. It's never too late to go back," it said. And for the first time, I truly believed it. I wasn't the Michael that letter was written for. But maybe the letter found the Michael who needed it. We don't lose the people we love because the bond breaks. We lose them because we stay silent too long. But love has a way of finding its path back when we take the first step. And that is the story of a letter I was never supposed to read.